Okay, so this morning I'm listening to Perduto in una città doc. The English translation would be Lost in a City of Waters by Italian composer Salvatore Sciarrino. And it's a solo piano piece. Okay, so this piece has sort of like a certain character throughout. It was written in 1991. You can see it's got sort of this pianissimo layer in the extreme high and low registers of the instrument. And then there's some fairly detailed pedal work at the bottom there. Um, so you got like the way that it's notated with these huge stems, it's like you have these huge dyads, and sometimes there's dyads that sit within the larger dyads. Um, and it's sort of like this sustain layer, you could say. Um, and then there's like this fast figuration that starts in the second last page, and it's like fast little chromatic things, but it's in a more narrow register, just in the sort of treble clef here. And that stuff is a bit louder. It's usually like swelling to piano or pianissimo or mezzo piano even. Rhythmically, it's very challenging to read because there's no bar lines. But it's a piano piece, so you just kind of have to fake it a little bit. It's for uh, Alvise Vidolin. Who was that? Sound director, computer musician, and live electronics performer. I guess he was an expert in computer music. This is someone who was born in 1949, so early computer music stuff like 80s. Um, Adjunct professor at the Center for Computational Sonology and the Department of Electronics and Computer Science at the University of Padua. Founded Italian Association of Informatics Music in 1981. Started collaborating with the Venice Biennale as head of the Permanent Laboratory for Music Informatics of the Biennale. This is some really early electronic music stuff. Like when was Earcam founded? Max was written in the mid 1980s, so at least that by then, I'm thinking late 70s. Um, like the International Computer Music Conference, I guess, was active as of 1974, so it's not too early. But yeah, to be working with electronics in the 70s in sort of a university setting is very interesting. He's worked with Luciano Berio, Franco Donatoni, Salvatore Sciarrino, of course, hence the dedication, and Luigi Nono. Those are sort of the big Italian names here. So, yeah, that kind of explains the texture a little bit. It might be the piano piece here might be a little bit indebted to electronic music, and it's certainly not out of character for Sciarrino's style, but I think this is a lot more creative and singular than some of the nocturnes we were looking at, for example. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna give this a listen here. It's 8 minutes long, so we'll go with the George N. Giannopoulos recording, and I'll see you in a bit here. Link to this is in the video description. Okay, so this is definitely my most famous piano piece by Sciarrino that we've listened to so far. Um, it's just a very simple idea, and it is kind of interesting. Like each sort of big decision in the narrative is kind of interesting. Like it's very much just floating for the first minute, and then you almost get a little chord progression on the second page, and you kind of think that that's the way that the direction the piece is going to go, is that it's going to slowly evolve. But then this new idea sort of shatters everything, and it's like you suddenly get something in the foreground, right? Everything and your relationship to the foreground background changes. What you thought was in the foreground is now in the background, and it's almost like this little theater of sounds. Um, and the ending is very fun. He sort of, I mean, it happens throughout the piece, but he introduces this idea where some of the chords are played even quieter. So pianissimo, I guess, four P's, and they have different note heads, I guess, to like make them stand out in the score. And here they start interfering with the other chords that have been played, right? So at the very end, you get this almost repeated note idea. Um, so if you pay really close attention to the performance, there's like a background to the background that's introduced, right? So it's like then you things are expanded out in that direction, and it's very strange, you know? It's a very different way of looking at the piano, and it's almost like a spatialized kind of piano piece. So that's at least the way I heard it. It's seems extremely tough to perform, just the dynamics that it's at. Um, so I think it's pretty cool. And it's a little bit more accessible just because of how late this new main second idea is introduced like um, halfway into the piece. So that's a really bold compositional decision, which I wasn't really seeing in some of the later piano works. Um, so even if you're just a casual listener, you will at least have that moment to remember. Um, yeah, next is so tomorrow I'm gonna listen to another Lawrence Crane piece. It's called Gorm Busk, I believe. Um, and it's a really short one, probably 2 or 3 minutes long.